Good morning, everybody. It is September 11th, the 24th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks, and we are very solemn this morning in remembering that, but we do have to get to the news of the day as well, because we are in the final stretch, folks. 55 days, 1 month and 25 days, 7 weeks and 6 days, however you look at it. We are 55 days away from November 5th, 2024, where we will find out, hopefully on that night, we'll find out whether or not Donald Trump will be returning to the White House, or whether we will continue down this chaos and mayhem with the Kamala Harris administration. Let's bring in Josh Turnbow and Joe Kovacs. Hello, gentlemen.
Hey, everybody.
Good day.
Yeah, we were here last night with a great panel going over the debate, and so I invite everybody to head over to our Rumble channel and all the other social media channels. We will have up the analysis portion of the debate that we had last night, so you don't have to watch the entire debate video unless you want to, but we do have our analysis. It's about a half hour, 45 minutes or so, with our great panel from last night. So and we cover a lot of the clips, a lot of the quips, and a lot of the reactions from around there. But this morning definitely was quite a I remember waking up this morning and going through X and just watching a lot of the reactions from some of our favorite folks out there. And before we get into that, though, I want to hear from you, gentlemen. You're first before we cloud the waters here with everybody else's opinion. Joe, did you stay up late over there on the East Coast and take in last night's debate?
I did, and I had a little bit a different viewpoint than the typical viewer. You know, when you come home and turn on the news for a debate, you just sit there on your couch and you watch it. I was the guy who actually had to listen for and pull video clips to put on WorldNet Daily last night. So it's a different experience when you're just sitting there, you know, taking in the whole thing, relaxing with a cup of coffee in your hand or something. And then it is to actually be looking for those key moments, those key sound bites to clip and put on the news. It's a little behind the scenes for those who don't know how it's done. I'm one of the people that do it, and Josh does it often, and his wife. So it's different than just sitting there and watching it. But I thought it was overall a good debate. I don't think there were any real surprises. Yeah, the media was biased against Trump. Surprise, surprise. That's always the case. There's nothing new there. And Kamala Harris lied, and Trump got his main points in. He was a little scattered at times, but he did get his main points in. And so overall, I thought he did very well.
Yeah. And Josh, compared to the last debate between Trump and Biden, that seems to sort of be the anomaly now, because the bias, as Joe just mentioned, was all over ABC last night.
Yeah, we have a clip coming up later that will reference this, but I think debates should be done in the mainstream media format. Relying on, big box network, ABC, CBS, CNN, even Fox, relying on them any longer to do our debates, I think we can say officially that this is a failed format. It's overly designed by the opposition to be in their favor. I look back now, some people don't agree with this. I look back now at like Trump's victory over Biden in the first debate. I think it was by design. I think that helped them bring in Kamala. And so now we got to see Kamala, and she did her perfect puppetry. They needed her to be the perfect puppet last night, and she was. Yeah. It's surprisingly so for many people. Like, one last thing I'll just say is, like, the favorite thing people were joking about previously was that she was, as Michael Malice coined, America's wine mom, since we saw her in so many videos giving ridiculous kind of disjuncted speeches. But last night she did exactly what she needed to do, which involved mostly lying, but she played the part.
Yeah, she did. All right, well, let's go to this first clip. Megyn Kelly was on fire last night, and she delivered her remarks on her reaction. Let's watch this.
I'm disgusted. It was 3 against 1 on that debate stage this evening. Trump did the best he could, and Trump tried to take them all on. He did fine. He did as best as he could, and he was getting angry, and so was I. Were you? This was a mistake to trust ABC News with this debate. The Republicans must learn from this mistake. The same way the Democrats never agree to do anything with moderators they don't entirely trust. This should be the last time the Republicans ever do this, because those two moderators tried to sink Donald Trump tonight. The numerous fact checks on what he said and none on what she said. None. I don't remember a single fact check of anything she said, and she lied repeatedly. She just got away with it. When Trump tried to say that his comment that he lost 2020 by a whisker was him being sarcastic.
Language
David
warning
Muir
coming right here, guys.
Injected saying, I didn't hear sarcasm. Who gives a shit what you heard? Who died and left you political analyst in chief? That is inappropriate. It's not for you to make that call. The worst piece of all of this is the obvious tactic by ABC News, which was as follows. Mr. Trump, you said something incredibly controversial and terrible. Let me remind you of what it was. Do you have any regrets or thoughts on how terrible you were? Trump answers. Vice President Harris, how bad is Trump? And then she'd answer. It happened over and over again. That was the format. Mr. Trump, you're a piece of shit. Kamala Harris, isn't he a shit? Thank you. And then anything Trump said, fact check, fact check, fact check. And their fact checks were full of shit. I'm swearing even more than normal right now because I'm mad. They're trying to steal this election. They're openly working to sink him.
Yep. Wow. I mean, we could just end the show there and move on to a new topic. I mean,
somebody needs to get Megan a thesaurus, because there are other words for excrement there that she could throw in, but it was quite entertaining.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I'm with her at this point at that level of anger, though.
Yes, I agree. I think we all are. I mentioned last night on the show that I was ready to throw things at my television and just break it and walk away. But Joe, one of the things that was even aside from the interruptions, the fact that they keep going to these mainstream outlets like ABC, NBC, where when they brought up the subject of climate change, I thought, when are they going to bring up a topic that conservatives are cared about, like boys in girls' bathrooms, or transgender surgeries being paid for, but criminal transgender surgeries being paid for with public dollars? Like, when are those topics going to take the front stage in a question? Instead, we hear about climate change, a topic that's been brought up at every debate since Gore versus Bush, I think.
Because, those topics that the conservatives want to hear will never be brought up, because this is part of the suppression tactic of the left and the leftist media. They don't cover certain issues. They'll talk about climate change all day long when that's way low on the list of priorities, if it is even on anyone's priority list. But you're right, they don't talk about transgenderism and all these controversial issues that are at the forefront that people want solid answers to. The Republicans, though, I agree with Megan, they are stupid with a capital S to keep using these moderators. I'm going to throw out a couple of moderators' names from previous debates. Chris Wallace, Candy Crowley. After every one of these debates on the major networks, everyone said, "Oh, I can't believe how biased these moderators were." And yet the Republicans still go to these people. Oh, yeah, there's going to be a debate on a major network. Yeah, let's go. And I noticed they didn't even abide by the rules last night. The mics were supposed to be silent. I'm hearing everybody with the crosstalk. I mean, with their microphone completely on. So it's a rigged game, as Trump likes to say about many issues, but this is one. But Republicans are falling into the trap. They don't have to take part in them, or they can have a debate where it's not on a major network. There are other news agencies out there that don't have the broadcast power of the major networks, but still can get the job done. We have the internet these days. It's new media. A lot of people are abandoning television. They've given it up because they can't stomach the left-wing bias. But again, it's the Republicans' fault for allowing this to happen.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And as we said last night, I don't think that there's much people in the middle that are undecided. I mean, you have people on both sides that are pretty much, they know where they're headed, they know where they're going, and we have this very somewhat disturbing video of this
in every
guy,
way,
this man on the street video here that we want to show you. Let's just watch it.
Look, I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris. She could run over a child live on TV. I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris. I'm never going to vote for Trump.
That's gnarly.
But the fact is, even though I think she'll make a good president, she's not a good candidate. If you remember from when she ran before, she tends to get real irritated with stuff she doesn't like. She's not real fast on her feet. Maybe she's better now. But live events, things like that, I don't know, man. I don't think she's going to do so well in the debate.
Josh, I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that gentleman, I believe he's called a land whale. That person represents, like, he's speaking, he sounds like he's speaking like a normal person. He's not slurring his language or anything like that. But listen to the words he's saying. She could run over a child live on TV and I'd be fine because Trump bad. Mm-hmm. It's, we call it Trump derangement, but that's a sick individual.
It is. It kind of, and Joe, it does kind of, I think it jogs the memory of when Trump himself said, I could stand on Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and still people would still vote for me. Is that similar, or am I taking that out of context here?
No, it's similar. Here's another one. When I was in radio years ago, there was a congressman from Florida, Claude Pepper, real old guy. I think he's one of the longest serving people ever to be in the U.S. Congress. And when Ronald Reagan was president, he was giving him a backhanded compliment in a weird way. He said that Ronald Reagan could rape an elderly woman on the steps of the U.S. Capitol, and people would say, "What's that old lady doing to our president?" So it's that kind of oddness,
wow.
Right? But it again illustrated the immense popularity of Ronald Reagan. Remember, he won 49 states, 49 out of 50. Could you imagine that today? Any president doing that? I mean, we're talking about a razor-thin election again this time when it shouldn't be. We have the country in disaster mode. We have the Middle East on fire. Russia and Ukraine are going at it with no end in sight. This should be a slam dunk win for Trump and the Republicans, but again, there are forces out there that are propping up the Democrats, including what we saw in the media last night with the obvious bias of those pretenders at ABC News.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, folks, we have some great comments coming in. Josh, you want to walk us through some of these comments that are coming in here?
Jeff the Fats nailed it with, if I were that guy, I'd wear a shirt or a tent. Great comment, Jeff. Jeff also said, bad move to agree to ABC debate. This kind of brings us back to this idea that, like, why can we not build things, or why can we not win? We operate within the frame of people that are officially now our enemies. ABC News is the enemy of the people by working against a candidate in a debate. That's the whole point, debate. And instead, they are shutting down debate. Therefore, they're the enemy. I mean, they get so worked up, like, no, we protect democracy. They're doing the opposite now.
Yeah. And there's Paul Riggin there. He was there last night with his comments too. So thanks for tuning. Thanks for coming back
Paul.
here, Paul. Yeah, he's always commenting. We have to cover this here because we always love a good little conspiracy theory, or we like to just ask the questions, right? So Kamala's earrings. Someone on the internet has pointed out that Kamala's earrings look very similar to a product that's on the market that delivers pinpoint accuracy audio. You could use these as your AirPods, whatever they're called, to listen to music or whatever. But her earrings looked strikingly familiar to this particular product. There's even an ad for this product. Can we show the ad here? brought to you by.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't have it.
Here comes the ad.
Oh, okay, great.
If you thought earrings were merely a fashion statement, think again. Nova's H1 audio earrings is the world's first wireless earphones made with real pearls. Unlike conventional earrings, these earrings are placed on the earlobes and project the sound from inside the pearl straight into your ear canal.
It's got to be a coincidence. They just look the same.
Is that it? They just looked at their models after some sort of Tiffany pearl earring or something. I mean, and there's other instances, other photographs of her wearing those earrings. So those are something that she does wear. It'd be kind of interesting to go back in time and just kind of notice where those earrings are. So yeah, well, I guess we'll keep tabs on it. I don't suspect you'll see a Joe. Wouldn't this be a good journalism question? Vice President Harris, some people say that your earrings are some sort of earpiece for audio. What would you say to those critics?
And she would go off on some tangent. When I was growing up, we had all kinds of earrings, and she would deflect the question to somewhere else and never actually answered the question. But that is a fascinating theory about having somebody talk to her in her ear during the debate. But I just want to remind everybody, she has been talked to for 3.5 years on what to say, on what to do, because she doesn't have any real opinions of her own, even though her values haven't changed. See, she so vociferously says all the time, although she flip-flops on so many issues. But she has been coached so well, and it was shown last night where she was doing all the hand on the chin and come on, Trump would say an obvious truth on something and she'd be like, oh, that's preposterous. So she had the theatrics, the coaching has been already absorbed by her. And so I think if she had I'm not saying those were actual headphones or anything broadcasting somebody's voice into her ear, but if it were, it was irrelevant.
Yeah. No, it's a good point. A good point you make. Well, we talk about the fact checking that the moderators were doing to Trump, and over on WorldNet Daily, we have an article up there about one of the moderators, Lindsay Davis. Someone needs to fact check her. Because on this whole the abortion debate, which I thought was very fascinating to watch go back and forth, especially here because I know there were so many of us that were thinking, no, this stuff is happening, and social media just came in and delivered an abortion truth bomb to the presidential debate moderator. So go over to WorldNet Daily, make sure you share that article and read through it, and then also we posted up on X the fact checking of these moderators favored Kamala. And here are the things that they missed. The moderators did not fact check Harris on a bunch of these items here. The Project 2025, Trump had to keep talking about that. On the fracking comment, she absolutely has said that she would ban fracking. The late term abortion, the Very Fine People hoax, which Trump again had to come out against. January 6th, the bloodbath statement. That's where I think I lost it when she started talking about the bloodbath statement that we all know is clearly directed at the auto industry and the economy and not people. And then, of course, crime data and, of course, border security. And they were just kept fact checking Trump over and over again. It was awful there. So much so that RFK, who is now, advocating on behalf of Trump and his campaign, we have this posted up on X. Well, here's what he said, his reaction to the moderators.
Fortunately, we had moderators who were clearly biased, who were constantly fact-checking Donald Trump. None of these kind of whoppers that the vice president was saying, and none of her failure to really explain that, answer that first question, that very, very critical first question. They simply sat there on the sidelines and allowed that to pass.
Yeah, Joe, do you remember the very first question that Kamala was asked was are people better off 4 years ago? And she kind of sidestepped that and started talking about how all the things that she was going to fix. So I posted out there, well, I guess we aren't better off 4 years ago because now all she's doing is talking about things that she needs to fix.
Right. And every time Trump would sidestep the question, they would say, well, Mr. Trump, that wasn't the question. The question was yada, yada, yada. Why don't you address the question? But they allowed Kamala Harris to just get away with it. Again, she goes into her stories about her either her personal life or, the big plans she has. And the best thing that Trump did was at least once, I think it was more than once though, to say, you've been here for 3.5 years. You haven't done diddly. Why don't you go down, wake Joe Biden up at 4:00 in the afternoon and get him to close the border? So he did hammer her on a few excellent points, but he had to be the fact checker for her because the media just sat there and zipped their lips to let her have a free ride. But this is who ABC News is. So I used to work with ABC News. I ran their affiliate here in Florida, in West Palm Beach. And the folks at ABC News are just extremely, extremely liberal. When I met Peter Jennings way back in the day, he was a very nice guy. And but the whole network itself, what was liberal then, it's more liberal now. They're more public about it now. They tried to hide it way back in the day, but now it's just it's open season on who they are. They are almost proud of it that they can get away with it. But again, as I said, the Republicans don't have to agree to these debates with these vicious leftists.
That was an amazing point, Joe. I totally agree. I want to jump in with this idea, guys. I want to share what it looks like right now to the other side. Okay. Wow. Because it's so insane. So this is the Drudge Report. This used to be a reliable news aggregator, and now it's, far from it. It's so terrible now. But here, so let's just go up here. We'll see in the top right, it says, these are linking to articles. The night Trump lost it all. Wow. Rattled Dawn demands ABC be shut down. Flight risk. Will Fed seize passport? Says he'll flee flee USA if Harris wins. And then it says Trump's 9/11 worst performance of career. So this is absolutely, in fact, let's do a segment, Matt, where we just check in on Drudge, because obviously Drudge is not okay. Whoever's running
it now. Yeah.
We don't even know if he's alive, by the way.
We don't.
Yeah. This is incredible. I have not looked at Drudge Report in probably 5 years.
This other article with the cat meme, which is hilarious. The AI image says the end. So this is what they're delivering to average people. And Drudge is still a giant website. It gets massive traffic.
Yep.
Does that seem at all even remotely connected to the reality we experienced yesterday?
I'm absolutely not.
No.
I mean, that is. No. I'm astonished. I mean, that's like CCP run media right there.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. It's Cold War era. You're in an Eastern Bloc country. They're just going to say the opposite. This is our media. And Drudge didn't write those articles. They linked to someone else,
of course,
like a media source.
Yeah.
So
wow, that's shocking.
And it's even more shocking how many liberal media sources there are out there. I mean, it's
all of them.
It's virtually all of them. So, thankfully, people who read WorldNet Daily are getting a truth injection every day. But you go to just all the papers, all the networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, Los Angeles Times, New York Times, Washington Post, all these major media outlets are all filled with conservative hating leftists, and they just want to bring down everything on the political right at all costs. So even in Europe, the European papers, most of them, there are a few exceptions, like the Telegraph in London and the Daily Mail at times is very conservative. But like if you read an article from The Guardian, which Drudge links to all the time, The Guardian is an absolute left-wing lunatic mouthpiece. So I just, I know everyone already understands that most of the media are leftists, but just because something is linked on a website, whether it's Drudge or anyone, just always consider the source. They're not always interested in truth. In fact, they very rarely are interested in the truth. They are interested in spin, in narrative, in pro-leftist agenda, and that's the name of the game.
Yeah, and that's why we have to do our own fact checking. You folks out there have to do your own fact checking. And when you have even the vice presidential candidate, J.D. Vance, was sitting there with Caitlin Collins after in the spin room last night, and having to almost call her out for saying, "Well, you're the journalist, shouldn't you be go out and checking some of these facts?" Let's watch this clip here when they're talking about the Trump's cat and dog remark.
I would say is he brought up this misleading false claim that you yourself have talked about in recent days about Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, abducting people's pets and eating them, which officials there have said is not true. You yourself acknowledged it may be false on Twitter. You still told people to keep spreading it. But Trump just amplified it to tens of millions of people who were watching. Why push something that's not true?
Well, first of all, city officials have not said it's not true. They've said they don't have all the evidence.
They said they have no evidence.
We've heard from a number of constituents on the ground, Caitlin, who both firsthand and secondhand reports saying this stuff is happening. So they very clearly, meaning the people on the ground dealing with this, think that it is happening. And I think that it's important for journalists to actually get on the ground and uncover this stuff for themselves when you have a lot of people saying, my pets are being abducted, or geese at the city pond are being abducted and slaughtered right in front of us. This is crazy stuff. And again, whether those exact rumors turn out to be mostly true, somewhat true, whatever the case may be, Caitlin, this town has been ravaged by 20,000 migrants coming in. Healthcare costs are up. Housing costs are up. Communicable diseases like HIV and TB have skyrocketed in this small Ohio town. This is what Kamala Harris's border policies have done. And I think it's interesting, Caitlin, that the media didn't care about the carnage wrought by these policies until we turned it into a meme about cats. And that speaks to the media's failure to care about what's going on in these communities. If we have to meme about it to get the media to care, we're going to keep on doing it because the media should care about what's going on.
I saw you say.
Yes, very well done, right, Joe? I mean, here's the senator from Ohio, so he's invested, at least in this particular state, on this issue.
Right, and he said, there are reports that it's happening. I noticed during the debate, David Muir, the anchor of World News Tonight and the co-moderator of last night's debate, had to throw in there to say, well, we contacted the city manager of Springfield, Ohio, who says there's no credible evidence that this is happening. So they make a telephone call to one guy who says there's no credible evidence, and therefore they've done their journalistic duty rather than get out there and talk with the people in the neighborhoods. These people have multi-million-dollar budgets. They do have producers. They can get out on the scene. Every time there's a hurricane, they got the team coverage of the hurricane from 20 different locations. But on a major story where migrants from no matter where they are allegedly slaughtering people's animals, possibly to eat, you would think that somebody at the network would say, we should look into this. But no, they're not going to look into it, and they're only going to impugn the possibility of that because it would harm the Democrats' chances. This is all about winning the election for the Democrats. They don't care about news, real news. All they care about is Democrats in power.
Joe, they don't even have to go there. All they have to do is open up X or Facebook and watch the video. We played a video last night of that woman eating a cat in someone's driveway and being hauled away by police. We're going to show video later of the car accidents that are going around. We reported on this earlier this week about the duck, the guy holding the goose or the duck. I mean, you're exactly right. They call up a city manager. It's preposterous, right, Josh? I mean, this is incredible. We have this video here that we have up on WorldNet Daily on X. If you guys want to see the facts and see the truth that's going on out there, all you have to do is follow it. That the investigation stops as soon as the city manager tells them that nothing's going on. Let's watch this.
It's not a video.
Oh, it's not a video?
No.
Okay. Well, we just spoke about it, so that's good.
Matt, I'll chime in here a little bit.
Go ahead.
Like, there's a little bit of a trick here they've been doing for a while. It's, oh, look, the authoritarians will only talk to the authorities. We spoke to the city manager. News is turned. I mean, I almost feel like we're kind of just beating the already decomposing horse here. It's clear that the media is in a post-truth era. They're the ministry of truth, more or less now. So, oh, look, Well, we can't take credible witness. This is what it used to be useful to have, a credible witness. And you could do certain things to make them even more credible, right? They could swear by what they said through an affidavit. But now it's no, we called the folks that are politically the bureaucrat, and the bureaucrat told us that what you're saying is wrong. And that's authority. They want the authority. And obviously those always come under political pressure. Seems like that happened. But this is like the news media now. I'm getting sick and tired of saying like they're so corrupt. We're past it.
We are past it, and we just want to remind people that we do know that there is an investigator showing up in Ohio right now, and we have video of it. And so this investigator is on the case. Let's watch this.
Excuse me, gentlemen. Head detective.
So thankfully, Ace Ventura is on the case.
And he could do a better job than any of these pretenders in the media getting to the bottom of it. So
yes,
just
we go.
Get Ace Ventura on the case.
That's great. All right. Well, excuse me. Let's move on here because this great clip here of Pat Buchanan, who, you know, that guy just does not get enough attention about what's going on, being a great predictor and prophecy, you know, of what he's a student of history, and he just kind of sees the pattern. And I know, Josh, that's you enjoy watching these patterns as well. But Logan Clark Hall posted this clip from Pat Buchanan from back in 2012, so not too far long ago, but he knew exactly where we were headed. Let's watch this.
We went through 2 world wars that carried off something like 100 million people, most of them Western peoples. And as a consequence, I think all these Western nations, they all lost their empires. Almost all have lost their armies and navies. They have lost their basic fundamental Christian faith. Certainly Europe, the Pope says, is a desert of godlessness. And as they have lost that, their culture has begun to disintegrate, and the people have begun to die. There's not a single Western nation whose native-born population has a birth rate that will enable it to stay in its present form through this century. Take a country like Italy. It's got a birth rate. Each new generation is 1/3 smaller than the last. Russia is going to lose 25 million people between now and 2050. It's already lost 10 million since independence, say, in 1990. Japan is going to lose 25 million people. You go down there, these are UN statistics. They're based on fertility records that go back when the nations began to die, basically to the mid-1970s. So I think you're going to see the West and its peoples shrink as a percentage of world population. All of them, I think, will be predominantly, in terms of their population by the end of this century, folks from the third world and from different cultures and civilizations. And the idea they're going to preserve Western culture and civilization, I think, is really putting hope over experience.
All right, Josh, our chief doomer.
Yeah. So guys, you know, Buchanan said that 12 years ago, but what's it missing in the context of his comments is he's mostly talking about Europe. And he is seeing that, hey, look, there's going to be a crash, a demographic crash or a demography crash happening. And Europeans knew that then, and their elites knew that then. And so fast forward 12 years, they don't really know right now how many people live in the UK. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but they don't know how many people live in the UK. They don't want to do a census. They do one every 10 years. But they're in this point where, like, I don't know. I think it's in the millions. The reason is they don't want to have to identify how many foreign people they've let in, illegally mostly too. And it's changing their society. And we all get to watch this. We watched the boats float across the Mediterranean in the past few years that pull up with migrants. All of those people went into Europe. But now, and we got to laugh at them, right? But now we have our own version. And that's called 20,000 Haitians dropped in the middle of Springfield, Ohio. And it's not just the ducks and dogs and cats and all this stuff. It's not just that. it's also weird cultural things like constant car crashes. And we have a video to show that.
Gonna take a freight train down at the station, Lord. I don't care where it goes. Gonna climb a mountain.
Interesting song choice there, but Joe, what's so mind-boggling to me, because I live in a small town, you know, same amount of population as Springfield. How did they just throw a dart on a map? Like, why Springfield, Ohio, to send all of these Haitians who could be in Miami, you know, near Haiti, where there's probably a ton of Haitians and Dominicans and all sorts of folks from the Caribbean that live there already in a community that is culturally similar to them. Why Springfield, Ohio?
I'm not sure why Springfield was chosen, but we've seen this happen before. For instance, after Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans years ago, there were all these people displaced, a lot of them Black, and the federal government decided, oh, we're going to bus these people to Nowheresville, Montana, to put these folks from Louisiana, completely different culture, a large difference in race, obviously, between Montana, the demographic population of Montana, and Louisiana. Why Montana? Because they're obviously trying to affect the demographic change for whatever reason, whether it's political or something else. But yeah, I think we talked about this on the last program. There's like a total population of 58,000-ish people in Springfield, and now 20,000 are Haitians. That's 1 out of 3, right? Approximately that are Haitians, and they have, as you just showed that video of the car crashes. I mentioned on the last program, you know, Haiti itself, most people get around by walking because most people are poor and don't have cars. So they come to America without the proper driving skills, and this is what you get. And everybody's insurance is going up. It's skyrocketing just because of that zip code region that is very high accidents, all because of these migrants who don't know how to drive. So I don't know why specifically Springfield was chosen, but it was for one reason. I mean, they don't spread these people out. They don't take them, 10 here and 10 there and just spread them all over the place. It's like they concentrate them into one area, and it's possible because they want to pull a Somalia type invasion of what happened in Minnesota, where they threw all the Somalians in the Minnesota area. And then you get all these representatives in Congress pushing Somali type interests, Ilhan Omar, etc., for example. So that's possibility.
We really have to get to the root of the issue here, because what it is I don't think that there's it's not like DHS or immigration planes flying into Springfield and releasing these people. These are like third-party nonprofits working with the government to say, oh, we're gonna save people and bring them over here. I mean, is that what we're seeing here? Who is bringing these people into these communities, and why don't we have a stronger vetting system? I mean, I'm asking these questions like I'm hearing it for the first time, but people need to be called out. We're looking at the problem and not looking at the root cause. And I believe that was supposed to be Kamala Harris's job, right? Who's
as
to
the
blame
czar?
here?
Yeah. Why don't we know this? Actually, we should get into this because, this is coming. Think about this. No matter what happens, how angry the people in Springfield get, Americans are good people despite what they tell us constantly and claim that we're all racist. If we were all racist, they would rise up and chase the people out of that town.
Oh,
But
that's a great point.
they won't do that because we're long-suffering, nice folks. I mean, but if you think about it, maybe somebody will get mad enough to do this. And then what does it look like? It looks like the good old racist narrative. America's so racist. Look, we put all these people in your town and they destroyed it. And you were mad, you racist. It's gaslighting, right? That we use the friggin' word so much now. I dislike it greatly, but it kind of just fits. Everyone's being gaslit for a reaction. Then the biggest one coming, though, is the election.
Absolutely. And I think that's when you think about will they even let Donald Trump be president? It's that's the big question. And Glenn Beck, I believe this is when he just did a tour with or he was in a show as part of Tucker Carlson's tour, and he spoke about this issue. Let's watch this clip from Glenn Beck.
They cannot allow Donald Trump to be president. I don't like some of the stuff he says, but I tell you, I have been with him one-on-one. He is a different man in person than he is on stage. He is charitable. He is kind. He remembers people. He remembers your children's names. He cares, and he's brave enough to do it. The Lord will use any person, any flaws, anybody, if you just will say yes. Donald Trump is just the first person who said, okay, I'll do it. And he will do it. What, are we going to sit at home when we have a guy who's willing to die for the country? Not his fame, not his fortune, his country. And are we going to sit at home and go, they might try to steal the election? Get your fat ass out of the chair and grab people and take them to the polls. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Glenn Beck.
Oh boy, the energy in that is spot on, and that's exactly what you all folks who are watching need to be doing. Isn't that right, Joe?
Absolutely. And, all the fat asses out there, I hope they're not offended by Glenn Beck's comments. But people need to wake up and realize, Donald Trump is not a perfect person. But, in the Bible, there are a lot of imperfect people, including people that didn't even know God, that God used for his purpose, including King Cyrus, a pagan, sun-worshiping king who didn't know the true God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and yet God chose him before he was born by hundreds of years and had him free the Jewish people out of Babylonian captivity and had them allow them to go back to their homeland. So God can use anyone, and he's obviously been using Donald Trump to speak the truth on matters of great concern. Even Ronald Reagan was not a perfect guy. I may have mentioned previously that he had an astrologer. It may have been Jean Dixon herself, if I remember right, but I know there was an astrologer in the White House after he was nearly assassinated, because Nancy Reagan, was hoping that something like that would never happen again. But God frowns upon astrology, and yet he used this imperfect former Democrat, Ronald Reagan, to accomplish great things to make America great again, even before that was a Trump thing later on, decades later. But yes, God uses these imperfect people. Glenn Beck is right. There's no reason for people, especially Christians, to say, oh, I'm going to sit this one out only because, Donald Trump posts odd things on X or social media, or he's a blabbermouth. The country is in danger of not existing. So would you rather sit it out and let the wrong side win, the side that's allowing no border and abortion out of control and the economy going into the toilet every day? Do you want that? Or would you rather have a kind of loudmouth guy who gets the job done, positive results oriented?
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. And I'm going to take it a step further, because not only do you need to not stop voting. Like you're not supposed to stop voting. What you're supposed to stop doing is stop going to the Disney parks, because Disney owns ABC. Let's remind everybody of that. Disney owns ABC, and they love their theme parks. You want to stop something? Stop going to Disneyland. Stop going to Walt Disney World. Use the power of the dollar. I'm not necessarily saying that everything you have to that you would disagree with you need to boycott. But when you come up on these things and you're saying I'm not going to go vote anymore because they're just going to steal my vote, then you're just giving it up. You're just giving up. You're lying down and giving up. Go vote. Make them steal it from you. And if you want to stop something, stop going to the Disney parks. That's my rant for today. Josh, any last words from you, sir, and where we can make sure people keep tabs on the truth?
Yeah, guys, we showed that image of Drudge Report, that one article that was like Trump's 9/11, that linked to an ABC News story or the NBC News story.
Because they're all the same.
Don't get your news from there. You got to get it from us. We're going to give you a real take. Go to worldnetdaily.com. Follow the stories there. But the big thing, too, watch the show. We'll make it easy for you. You don't even have to read. Just like and subscribe. And you really want to follow the X. You want to follow the X account for sure, because that is like up to the minute breaking. And you're going to need that since we're in the final stretch. Who knows what's going to happen between now and the election? Got to pray. And keep your head on your shoulders. Know what's going on. You probably know the score to the football game. That's great. Know what's going on in our country. That's the most important thing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe, where can people follow you and keep up with your great work over at WorldNet Daily?
I'm on X at Joe Kovacs News, all one word, Joe Kovacs News. I also have a Bible-related website, reachinggodspeed.com. That's reachinggodspeed.com. And of course, everybody, I encourage them to read. It's not just me at WorldNet Daily. I mean, we have a team of people across the United States and the world doing our best to bring you accurate, truthful information. So I encourage you, if you haven't gone to the website yet, we are working around the clock to make sure everyone is informed.
Fantastic. All right. And just a reminder, too, if you want to watch the post debrief of the debate last night, it will be up on Rumble and YouTube and all the channels. So I would encourage you to go over there and watch that. And of course, follow on X. My name is Matt Edwards. On behalf of Joe and Josh here, thank you so much. We'll be back here on Friday. God bless you.